20 minutes later, the students began returning, sweat soaked and breathing heavy, their faces flushed with exhaustion. The crowd erupted into cheers as Adam emerged from around the last bend, his stride strong and determined despite his labored breathing. He crossed the finish line with a triumphant smile. Moments later, Beatrix Griffin appeared, her expression fierce and focused as she claimed second place, barely a step behind. She slowed, nodding to Adam in acknowledgement, her competitive spirit unmistaken. Then came Franklin Heels, his face steady but powerful, securing a proud third place. The female students lined up, each taking their turn. One by one, they released their arrows, but few struck the targets perfectly. When it was Beatrix's turn, she hit all the targets with remarkable precision, drawing gasps of admiration from the crowd. Cynthia aimed, took a deep breath, and let her arrows fly. One by one, they pierced through Beatrix's arrows and hit the target's dead center. The crowd erupted in applause. The exhibition pressed on with excitement as the students, pushing their limits, impressed both the crowd and the royal family watching. Among the best, Adam, Frank, Beatrix, and Cynthia stood out, their performance earning nods from the king himself. At the sound of the drum beat, they sprung into action. Their swords clashed with a ringing force echoing through the arena. The crowd cheered wildly, some chanting Beatrix's name, others rallying behind Cynthia. Victor, watching closely, silently rooted for Cynthia, his eyes following her every move. Beatrix sneered slightly as they fought, speaking in their crooked smiles. Seizing the moment, she kicked up a cloud of dust that caught Beatrix off guard, blinding her momentarily. Cynthia swiftly used the opening to kick her opponent back, sending the crowd into a frenzy. Beatrix lunged at Cynthia, and their swords clashed again, each blow resonating as both girls demonstrated skill and wit, earning impressed looks from the counselor and even the king. The intensity between the two girls only grew. Beatrix found an opening and swiftly tripped Cynthia, delivering a punch as Cynthia fell to the ground. The crowd gasped as Cynthia's friends watched with concern as Beatrix approached her. Mike said calmly. The two launched back into their duel, trading punches and strikes in quick succession. Cynthia managed a well-placed punch to Beatrix's side, but Beatrix countered, seizing Cynthia's arm and kicking her knee. Cynthia collapsed to the ground, and Beatrix pinned her down, her voice shook. Summoning her strength, she pushed Beatrix off and delivered a punch to her face, sending her opponent stumbling back and dropping her sword. Cynthia charged forward, preparing her next move. Beatrix's face hardened, and with a sudden burst of speed, she dodged Cynthia's attack, grabbing her arm and delivering a powerful blow to Cynthia's stomach. The drum sounded, and in an instant, Adam and Frank were upon each other, swords colliding with a fierce clanging that echoed around the arena. Their blades flashed in the sunlight as they maneuvered and countered with a precision that had everyone captivated. The king watched Adam intently, his eyes narrowed with interest, while the other counselors leaned in, studying every move. On the battlefield, Adam and Frank were locked in a seamless exchange of attacks and blocks. Their movement so fluid it was as though they had rehearsed together. Every attack was matched with a counter, each strike met with deflection. The crowd was on edge of their seats, murmuring in awe. After several long moments of back and forth, Adam saw his opening. With a swift kick, he struck Frank on the side, knocking him slightly off balance. Seizing the moment, Adam grabbed Frank by the shoulder and pulled him to the ground. But Frank wasn't out yet. He quickly tripped Adam, hitting his chest and making him stumble. They exchanged a grin and a silent acknowledgement of each other's skill before springing back to their blades, clashing once more. Then, in a sudden twist, Adam dumped forward, ramming his chest gently but firmly into Frank's chest. Frank staggered, and before he could react, Adam followed up with a swift punch, sending Frank spiraling to the ground. Adam stepped over him, his sword faced him. Frank, still catching his breath, managed to smile. The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers echoing through the arena. Adam reached down, clasping Frank's hand and pulling him to his feet before lifting his arm in a gesture of friendship. The two exchanged a warm smile as the king rose from his throne, applauding their display of skill and swordsmanship. As if in a queue, all 50 final year students walked with a pride toward the center of the arena. The crowd murmured in anticipation as a line of knights began placing crystals around the battle area. A faint shimmer enveloped the field, creating a transparent dome that shielded the crowd while leaving the students enclosed within. A low rumble sounded, and a massive gate on the far side of the arena creaked open. From the darkness, a hulking shape emerged, its scales bright red. The crowd gasped as a massive dragon prowled forward, its eyes gleaming with rage. Smoke swirled from its nostrils as it surveyed the group of students with a predatory gleam. The students gripped their swords and shields, each of them acutely aware that this was no ordinary opponent. The dragon loomed before them, its wings spreading wide as it prepares to attack. The crowd leaned forward, holding their breath as the final challenge of the exhibition began. The crowd in the grand arena sat on the edge of their seats, murmuring in disbelief as a towering dragon entered the ring. Jason's gaze fixed on the beast, and his heart twisted painfully as memories of Stacy's last moments flooded back. He shimmered, unable to shake the dread settling in his bones. The dragon prowled forward, flames crackling in its throat. With a roar that shook the arena walls, it unleashed a torrent of fire. The students shattered, narrowly avoiding the blaze, surrounding the beast with measured steps. Arrows sliced through the air and swords gleamed as students charged from every direction, their battle cries rising. The dragon roared, its eyes flashing with rage as it swung its tail, sending a few students paralleling across the ground like shattered leaves. The students kept up their relentless assault, arrows raining down and swords biting at the beast's armored hide. Cynthia, with her calm precision, drew her arrow and fired, hitting the dragon's eye. It smirked momentarily. The dragon, furious now, opened its mouth and let loose another blast of fire. The students raised their shields, bracing against the intense heat, sweat beaming on their brows as they held their ground. The dragon stumbled, assaulted from every side by relentless attacks. Beatrix darted forward with incredible speed, her sword flashing as she sliced the dragon's legs, forcing it to flatten and collapse. Below, the students regrouped, determination etched in their faces. They attacked again and again, but the dragon's scales were like armor, barely yielding to their storms. The students responded with renewed energy, surrounding the dragon and driving it back. Arrows and sword strikes diverted its attention, while Adam and Frank dwarfed it in, climbing up the dragon's back, clinging to its jagged scales as they edged closer to its head. They exchanged a determined nod. Frank reached the dragon's neck, plunging his sword deep. The dragon reared, letting out a deafening roar that echoed through the arena. Thrashing wildly, it tried to take to the air, but was held back in check by the mystical barrier around the arena. Frank's grip flattened and he stumbled off, narrowly missing the dragon's snapping jaws. Just as it launched to swallow him whole, Cynthia loosened another arrow, hitting it square in the snout and forcing it back. The crowd collectively held its breath, their eyes fixed on Adam as he sprinted up to the dragon's neck. With a final battle cry, he plunged his sword into the creature's skull. The dragon screamed, a terrible sound that filled the arena as it staggered, crashing to the ground in a cloud of dust. Silence fell over the arena, every eye on the felling beast. Was it truly defeated? After a tense pause, Adam stood atop the dragon's body, raising his sword in triumph. The crowd erupted, their cheers thunderous, echoing through the stone walls as if the arena itself was celebrating. The students gathered around, breathless and battered but victorious, their faces shining with pride. Knights entered the arena, carefully removing the crystals that held the barrier in place, letting it dissipate.